Hey, it's Tuesday night, Total Schmidt Show. I'm in Panama. Let's do this. Hey, tune in every week as I travel the world and I talk to entertainers from all over the world. A lot of writers, a lot of comics, a lot of dancers, a lot of singers, a lot of comics, a lot of producers, a lot of tech people, a lot of comics, a lot of pianists, piano player type people. You know what I'm talking about. Musicians and lots of comics. Every once in a while, we'll throw in a comedy sketch, something like that, some music, some travel stuff. We'll even do a live remote from one or two of the ports they happen to be hanging out at. That's it. That's the whole show. And I'm going to record it all and put it on the intraweb. Sometimes. Usually late. Always late. Maybe, I don't know. And weekly? Maybe. Sort of. Either way, sit back, grab a beer, light a joint, and enjoy this week's episode of Schmidt Show. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm in Panama today. Look behind me, there's a ship actually leaving the port as we speak. We're leaving very soon. Over behind me, to my left. It's my left, your right maybe. I don't know how this works exactly. But that's the rest of Panama. This is Total Schmidt Show. This podcast has been going for the last couple of years. I talk to entertainers. Please support the show. If you like the show, you can even become a Patreon member. Do that. Join for a short monthly fee, a little monthly fee for like $1. You can help support. You're not supporting me traveling because I get paid to do this, but the recording, the carrying the equipment, and checking the bags and all that stuff. This episode was recorded on the Norwegian Encore late last year. Brent and Sarah, they were on the show the first season. Magicians from Canada. The cool thing about this conversation with them is we really got into the nuts and bolts of how they put the show together and some of the stuff they do. Because as I said, they're different. They're unique. They perform together. It's a great show to watch, and you should see it. They put a lot of work into it. And one of the things Brent I think mentions is they make it look like they don't put any work into it at all, which is kind of the art form really that we do when we perform live, is to make it look like we're just creating on the spot. And we're not. And Brent and Sarah are two of the best at it. So sit back and enjoy my conversation with my good friends, Brent and Sarah. I'll fix it in post.
In post?
In post. All right, man. Let's go. Don't screw this up.
Okay, great. Easy.
Great show the other night.
Hey, thanks.
This is my second time working with you guys, right?
That's right.
Dude, I got to tell you,
you don't remember the first time, but
I don't remember at all.
You said you drink a lot, right?
I do drink a lot. I totally played. Well, you know what? It was
It's
a hike.
Brent.
It was
And Sarah.
Brent and Sarah.
Nice to meet you again.
It was the hike that I lost. I blacked out after the hike.
Yeah.
Yes.
I understand.
I was totally
black that out.
Yeah, when we decided to go to lower Dewey, sounds so easy and simple.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's pretty simple. Let's go. And then I really thought I was going to die.
But you did it.
I did do it. You know what? I think I didn't have the right shoes. I'm blaming a lot of things.
Yep.
You know
I've
what I
never
mean?
heard our names so much with so many expletives after them.
I told her I was mad. I was mad there were babies up there. There are guys carrying babies. They're smiling and I'm like, oh man, I'm the biggest wuss in the world. This is terrible.
Some of the babies took over and said, I got this, and they started walking on their own.
Like, you shouldn't be here.
The one laughed you, actually.
Yeah, twice. Yeah, they just kind of looked at me, insulted, like, why are you
Flipped you off?
It's ridiculous. And he was crawling. It's kind of, it was stupid, really dumb.
Well, you were crawling towards the end.
I was crawling.
True. I think we were dragging, actually.
Yeah,
dragging is...
The saddest part is when people keep looking at me, you want us to stop? I'm like, no! No, dude, we're going to keep moving. I think I'm going to be all right. Yeah. I'm going to be fine. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I want to stop so bad. I want to stop so bad.
We almost euthanized you. But,
Get you out of your misery.
You put me down up in the woods.
Yeah. Bury you in the lake.
I bet I'm not the first guy they put down up there.
But here we all are now.
They're like, yeah, we all make it.
Made it.
Better people for it.
Well, there's nowhere to hike here. We're in the middle of the ocean.
Thank God. That's the only reason I booked this gig, because I knew it was all sea days. Like, there's no way I'm hiking anywhere with you guys.
That's funny.
It's hilarious. You guys, I've been dying to tell you this for 2 days now. When I saw the show, I know you guys, first, I probably said this last time, you guys are so good together and you're so funny and I love watching your show.
Thank you.
But that joke about the cartilage in the ears, I laughed so hard.
Did you?
Oh my God. It was like,
I'm so glad.
it was unbelievable. I'm like, wow.
Oh, that's relatively new. That's nice.
Yeah, it was a really good joke.
Okay,
They flop around, not like a basset hound, because that would be insulting the basset hounds.
Yeah,
That's the best stuff.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
See, the throwaway stuff you guys have is genius.
Oh, that's nice.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes people just they don't expect it from us, so it just
Goes right over their head. It
like
would
they
seem.
we don't like to mug with that.
Yeah,
It's like we just like to let it hang. Like if you don't get it, you don't get it.
Like
but,
the other line that Brent says is when he's drawing this picture of me, he says, and Sarah had long curly hair, but on her head, it was straight.
Yeah.
Like some people get that.
90% of the audience does not get it.
Right over.
Do, so you really enjoy
There's a
it.
few. You know what you see a lot when they tell that joke is someone will look at someone to explain.
Yeah.
Like someone will go, oh my god.
And then they miss the next few jokes.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. You guys are kind of rapid fire at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that keeps coming out, man.
Thanks for appreciating that.
I love it.
It's a lot coming from you, so I appreciate it.
No, I love, I watch comic magicians all the time, and sometimes just like either one or the other, and you're like, whatever, and they're not that funny.
Yeah.
But, you guys, everything is funny. I'm surprised.
It's magic that's terrible.
Yeah, really bad.
You use your magic, your comedy to cover up horrible magic. I think,
we're not good at either.
yeah.
So.
No. It's really good. I was thinking old school Volvo act. We really had nothing, and it's just all smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
You're like, who's next?
Yeah.
Let's keep it moving. That's why I don't stop.
That's the kind of stuff we look to for inspiration.
Yeah.
A lot of the old school, like comedy duos, aren't a thing anymore.
Right.
Really.
Right.
And there's there's a few, but especially in live performance, you don't see a lot of them. Like, I mean, the most successful would probably be like Steve Martin and Martin Short these days.
It was almost like a reinvention of the old format.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And so we just think there's a lot to be kind of mined there that we really enjoy. There's not a lot of people doing it, and it's kind of like it's so old it's new again.
Yeah.
We don't want to do old, outdated jokes and be a really dated act because we're certainly trying to put a modern touch on it, but just bringing something like that to the 20th century, having the husband-wife, is it 21st century? What century?
We're in the 21st century now.
Yeah,
I forget that too.
Yeah. Some people have hard times with the days of the week, centuries for me.
Yes.
Which century?
Well, luckily you should only have one.
Which century is it this week?
Yeah, which century this week, and never changes. It's going to be the same till you die.
Yeah.
Totally same.
Wow. Never thought about that.
Well,
I gotta go think some things over from it.
Unless you make it to like 130 whatever.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? You never know. By then, who knows technology? Yeah.
Technology, we don't know what that's going to, but hey, what about technology?
Yeah.
Could be a thing.
Yeah, people live longer now too. You never know. People used to die in their 40s.
Yeah.
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
That's why, our Social Security is running out in the U.S.
Right.
They planned on people dying at 50.
Yeah.
And we're like, people are living till 90. That's wrong.
Now we're all going to be implanted with robot brains and...
Yeah, it's going to be great. Really looking forward to
it. Really optimistic about it.
Yeah, that's
what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, you guys could carry on your show then.
That's right.
You could carry on the show.
It's all about.
With the robot brains.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are kind of a modern update of the Bickersons or that couple. You know the Bickersons?
I don't know the
I don't know.
The Bickersons were a radio couple,
Okay.
and they were husband and wife, and they constantly gave each other a hard time. Whatever, Ralph.
Nice.
Is this dinner? Yes. Why? Because it tastes like sandpaper. And it's but it was a radio show.
Oh, fun.
And then the modern day sitcom move forward to that was kind of Gracie and Alan, but it was a little bit different twist because Gracie was kind of
Gracie and Alan.
yeah, but Gracie was a little goofy, but wasn't as dumb as you thought she was. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So they kind of updated that version.
Yeah,
so you guys are kind of like a cool live up version of that.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because that's the question we're always asking ourselves is how, because we have certain rules about the way we portray ourselves on stage. I mean, it might not look like it from the show, but we actually put some thought into it.
We care.
But,
I thought you were winging it.
Yeah, well.
But it's because there is the things, and one of the things that we really don't ever want is Sarah being the naggy wife.
Right.
Because that is an old stereotype, and it's really not us.
It would be very disingenuine to our relationship in real life.
Yeah,
and so, to portray that on stage just wouldn't really, it just wouldn't be genuine, and audiences
and it's also
can
just
see
not so much fun for her.
No, I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want to be that classic,
Right.
because then after the show, people come up and they're like, oh, it's just like my husband and I. And I'm like, no.
Probably not.
Probably not. Like, we
actually, like, no, we're not.
We love each other.
You.
Yeah,
right. We were like, and because then also if you are that way on stage, crowds and people tend to take it a step further and address you that way off stage.
Yes.
So
exactly
so if you are the bitchy wife, then first of all you're gonna lose all the men in the room.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then guys will be going up to you going, it must be a nightmare living with this one. You know what I mean?
Right.
So because how crowds always think they know you when they watch the show.
Sure.
Or they walk up and start saying stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's really
but
true.
you guys walk you have a tightrope because also on the other end of it, especially nowadays, you got to be careful with the things you're saying to her.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because there was a time when it was kind of funny for a guy to, kind of be, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the male word? The
macho,
the mastic, not machoistic.
Oh,
Not masochistic.
Masochistic?
Not masochistic. No, that's wrong.
That's
different
very
show. That's a different show.
We all need to take an English class. They're kind of just like the Archie Bunker sort of.
Misogynistic. That's it. That's
what I tried to say with my mouth.
I know, me too. See, and I finally figured it out. I was with you.
We're all not educated, right?
Not at all.
Okay, go.
No, we're live performers. Misogynistic, especially now because there's such an extreme on that. But there used to be a time when misogynistic was funny, and guys would laugh, and the women would just go whatever, and you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
But now people are uber aware that they would call you out.
Sure.
I still think it is very funny as long as it's known that it's the joke. Like I love that kind of humor. Like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or Seinfeld or there's a lot of examples when you know these people are not good people.
Right.
Then I think it's so, and it's almost like the stuff that they get away with on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Madness.
It's great because you like there's really nothing that I know of that they've really been kind of canceled for, and they've done like 14, 15 seasons now.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nothing that they've looked back on that people have looked back on so much like you can't do that. It's because they've done it all through that lens of we know this is wrong.
Really bad.
Yeah.
And they do it, and
because it's the joke.
And I think that kind of stuff works really well.
Yeah, it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek. We know this is, but this is who this person is.
Right. Yeah.
It took Seinfeld, I guess, another step. Because Seinfeld's characters were not likable at all.
No, they're not good.
You know what I mean? They're horrible people. They were everything they did was really crappy.
Yeah.
They were mean to other people, disrespectful and stuff, but you laugh.
But I don't think people realized it as much. And I remember people being very upset when they ended up in prison at the end.
Yeah.
The final, no spoilers.
Wait, what?
Hold on.
Final episode, they all go to prison, and people were upset about that because they were very likable characters.
Right.
But they were also just kind of entitled jerks, right?
Well, the whole end was the court case. It was all coming up and
we're going back.
Yeah. Interesting bit of trivia about that. I don't know if you know this. Mm-hmm. The conversation they were having in the jail cell is the exact conversation they had when they were opening the show.
I did know.
Did you know that? Okay.
Brent's a big fan.
So we did this thing for my mom left my dad for like 10 days to go on a trip. No, I shouldn't preface it like that. But
you should lay that out. I thought this was going to be a different story.
No, Brent likes to be dramatic.
My dad's just useless without my mom. And so, and he gets lonely and stuff. So I called him every day. This was recently. Every day with 10 Seinfeld trivia questions that he had to answer.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What a good son you are.
Just keep his brain going.
Yeah. And then I insulted him.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not a fan.
Not a fan of your dad? Or
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got to meet him. It'll make sense.
Terrible
Don't
guy.
worry.
Terrible guy. He's great. But no, I just think there is a fine line you can walk with that. And I don't know. We see it all the time. It's harder than ever to do comedy, they say. And I find like there's very few comedy movies these days in theaters.
Yeah.
Like you don't see like a Dumb and Dumber or a Wedding Crashers or these big budget sort of.
Well, a lot of guys, they stopped making them. Yeah. A lot of guys, and they've been very clear about why.
Yeah.
It's because of that. In fact, there's the Jamie Foxx movie. Are you familiar with Jamie's last movie?
Which one?
He didn't release it. He shot it two and a half years ago. It's a joke. It's this Robert Downey Jr. plays a Hispanic janitor that something happens. It's very tropical thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
But it's Jamie. There's a lot of people in it.
Did Jamie Foxx
He directed it.
One? Yes, I
produced
remember
it, directed
reading about it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, he'll never. He goes, I'm not releasing this movie.
Really?
When he finished it, he goes, every single one of us will get canceled for this movie.
Oh shoot!
And Ben Stiller's like, it's the funniest movie I've ever done.
Oh.
And everybody's like, apparently it's hilarious.
Right.
But it's so Tropic Thunder, and I loved Tropic Thunder.
Loved it. Yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr. That was.
Yep.
It was so.
Mm-hmm.
When he says you people, he said, what do you mean you people? What do you mean you people?
Yeah.
Again, done through the lens of Robert Downey Jr. was doing the wrong thing.
Right.
Everyone who was a part of that production
knew
that it was wrong.
Sure.
But I do understand the perspective because there is some real problems that, we can't speak to as
right,
well.
100%. There's stuff that we're not associated with and we don't understand. But like anything else, then they take it too far, I think.
Right. Yeah.
And I hope they pendulum back a little bit.
Sure.
Because you're right, comedies have suffered. There's not a lot of ton of great comedies that have come out. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Like even I don't know if they could do The Hangover now. You know, what I mean, that might be
quite
too much.
Todd Phillips, the guy who directed.
He was the guy that made that statement. He made one statement.
Yeah, he said, "I'm done doing comedies."
Right.
He did the Joker.
He did the Joker, right? Yeah.
Not funny.
It's the opposite. Funny. Well, if you don't want comedy,
Very depressing.
let's do Murder and Death.
Shoot.
Well, and the stuff that people can do, not to go too far into this rabbit hole, but like people in North America get so upset about language and sexuality and things like that, but violence is just fair game.
Yeah, I know.
If you look at the Avengers movies,
yeah,
the amount of people that just die in those movies, that's just kind of glossed over.
Yep.
Sure.
Yada.
These movies are
whole cities are killed and destroyed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, violence, fair game.
Well, violence has always been, that's a parallel to video games on some levels.
Yeah.
Like I just watched, and I usually don't watch these movies. My daughter loves to watch horror movies.
Okay.
She's a big Saw fan.
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
I hate that stuff. I'm really not a fan of the gory.
Same.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and even that, I was like, I don't know if I can watch these movies.
Yeah.
But we watched some horrible movie. I can't remember what it was called, like Hell Lives or whatever. But it was the grossest thing I've ever seen. I mean, there's a wood chipper involved. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Oh yeah.
And I'm watching this. I'm like, how did this get made? I mean,
Right.
even though it's a horror movie, I mean, and children are dying, and kids are getting. I mean, it was really messed up.
Ugh.
And that stuff seems to be fair game. There's no limit as to what you can release with that sort of
Right.
stuff.
Right. But when it comes to anything about language or sexuality,
Nudity. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
or anything, even not even race, not if you just mention race and a problem in a movie, it's people lose their mind. You know what I mean? It's like on stage, like you can't. Like I do a joke about the Filipinos working on the ship and the crew bar.
Yeah.
And I've had people confront me afterwards and go, that's a racist joke. And I go,
Right.
it's not. I go, ask the Filipinos that work on the ship.
Yeah.
They love that joke. And
Right.
and you got to be some people, and people always fight the cause they're not involved in.
That's right. They get
You know what I mean?
offended on behalf of
Yeah.
somebody else.
Or
They
someone
don't
like
know.
yourself who has gotten to know a lot of Filipinos, has been working with Filipinos for years,
Yeah.
and whose humor comes from a loving place.
Sure.
Right.
It's not an attack. I mean,
Yeah, and I would say anything I say on stage about them, I would say in the crew bar in front of them or with them
Sure.
or joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same thing with any friend. And as a comic that's been around for 30 plus years,
Yeah.
and I try to be, my daughter's helped me with this, keeping update
Okay,
with what's
good.
right and what's wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, if I have a question, I go, do you think this is appropriate? Is it good? And they go, reword it this way. And I go, okay,
nice.
cool.
But I've heard your daughter's a bigot, so.
Yeah, that's not. Take a little Archie Bunker. And you're like, so I come out and I go, what?
She's smoking her cigar.
22-year-old loves it.
No, but that's the thing with us, that we kind of made a conscious choice very early on. And it's the real benefit of the two of us. Let's make the jokes about each other.
Right.
It's always on us.
It's a lot harder for people to get upset or offended. They still will.
Right.
But
Right.
from time to time.
But you guys are also kind of always, you're in on your jokes. Like when
Right.
she makes fun of you, it rolls off you kind of way where like, or only a couple of times you go,
Yeah.
oh, thanks a lot. That's more.
Right.
And you go, and you brush it off. Like,
Yeah.
that's great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so it's just, you guys are like bulletproof to the jokes that come
Right.
toward
To
you.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it works perfect. Yeah.
Take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch, man. It was fun. I wish I would have saw your other show too.
Yeah.
And good job with the crowd, man. Too. This time you had the crowd. I was surprised on this crowd because we're doing a 3-week, a long cruise,
Long
which is
cruise.
a little bit different sometimes than
Yep.
Yeah.
Usually an
7
older
day.
crowd.
But you have your volunteers were a little over zealous in the show. That one guy pretended to hit you. Did you catch that when
No.
you did the brothers thing? You brought him up and you go, "You're my big brother and you're my brother," and you guys always give me. And he went like this,
Did he?
and you turned and looked at him right because you felt something or
I saw
acknowledged
something.
it.
Oh.
But he pretended to kind of hit you, like, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Ew.
what did- Yeah, I know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what happened.
So he's the one who should be canceled.
He was playing. Yes, he was playing the mean big brother.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and I was shocked. Yeah. So, but then he didn't do anything after that. But
That's
I thought
what
he was
his
going to.
childhood was like.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Ugh.
Well, it's tough on these cruises when you're doing. It's
Yeah.
a lot of people. There's people who are 70, 80 years old.
Yeah.
They grew up in a different
Absolutely.
generation than they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are 20 years younger than I am. You guys are in your 30s, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hanging on.
Hanging on to the
Hanging on
30s.
to the-
Yeah.
We're almost
I'm
there.
almost dead.
Yeah.
It's going around.
Yeah, I heard. I heard there's no cure.
Yeah,
Tis the season.
yeah.
I took vaccines and everything.
Yeah. Oh man.
You should try a lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't die then.
One more
works.
lockdown will do it. I have a good feeling about this.
Yeah, that works really great.
Yeah, yeah.
One more for the road.
Mhm.
Oh my
So how's the bouncing between Canada and Florida now? You guys now, last time we did the show, you were buying a house in Florida.
Yes.
And now you have a house in Florida.
We did it.
Yeah. So
No
it's-
regrets.
It's great. The weather is better.
Yeah.
Oh, in
the-
Canada?
all
What a
the
shock.
time.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
No.
surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, we bought a place without ever having even seen it.
Sight
In
unseen.
real life.
All online.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Our
Yeah.
real estate agent just took
Gamble.
us on like a virtual tour, like through FaceTime. She just took us around and showed us all the things.
Did
and-
you know the neighborhood? No, anything like that?
No. So fun fact, we get there and we're the only white people for miles to see. So
Really?
that's really fun.
White people? What are you,
White.
Stewie from?
Yes.
We live in like a Haitian Jamaican neighborhood.
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody in that whole area.
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, I bet the cookouts are great.
Yeah,
Oh, have you
it really
been
smells
invited
good.
yet? Oh my
Great.
God, I would be
Yeah.
in a heartbeat. I'm your neighbor.
Yay.
How about some orange fluff? What do you got over there?
Orange fluff. Nice.
We're not there enough, unfortunately, to make good. But no, the neighbors have been fantastic. It's
Yep,
been,
everything's great. It's a good-
wonderful. Got a little pool,
Yeah.
so it's
Good for
Really
you.
nice.
Pool in Florida's huge, man.
You
oh,
gotta.
mandatory.
It's humid all summer. It's humid.
Yeah,
So,
You guys are northern or central? You're near Flip, so
yeah.
Right.
It's just
Fort Lauderdale.
outside of.
Okay.
It's called Lauderdale Lakes.
Yeah.
okay, I'll be in and out.
The address is
Yeah.
no.
I'll let you know. Honest to God, I'll hit you up next year because
Yeah.
I would love. I'm on the Celebrity Constellation 12 times, 15 times
Awesome.
next year. It's at
Out of Fort Lauderdale.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
so
Yeah.
We'll have you
Yeah.
out for our own little cookout.
Yep.
I will. I'll come. I'll bring some.
Barbecue.
I'll make the orange flush.
There you go.
Orange fluff.
There you go.
It'd be great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
That's lovely.
So do you still have a place in Canada, or do you just family when you get home?
Basically, stay with my parents. when
Right.
we're
Okay.
back
Yeah.
home.
It's technically our
just kind
residence.
of go back there to work and visit a little bit. Make sure we spend some time there in the summer to hang out. My family has a cottage north of Toronto, so we spend
Yep.
some nice time
Are you
there.
U.S. citizens or?
Not even anything.
Not even, not even
we
close.
we always have to be leaving. We can
Yeah.
only stay in U.S. for a certain amount of time, and so we're always leaving and going on ships and stuff. So it works out.
Yeah, it works out because you're never
Yeah.
home, right?
But we can't work in the U.S. or anything like that, and we
Why
do.
why would you want to?
But we like the ships.
Yeah.
We've committed just to. We were on the start of this path the last time we talked, but we've really just committed to. Just to lifestyle these days, and just to
Yeah.
let's just enjoy what we're doing, be where we are,
Yep.
and have fun. There's so many aspirations you can have in the world of entertainment: bigger, better, more.
Busier.
We're just, we're busy enough. We're happy enough.
We're
Yeah.
making enough money to live.
Feeling good.
So.
Dude, quality of life is such a big deal.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I learned that when I first got onto ships, I kind of didn't want to come here. I was coming out of my divorce. I was acting in
Right.
LA, and I was like,
Yeah, sure.
"Ugh."
Yep.
But then I got here and kind of embraced two things. One, stand up again. I just started writing more.
Yeah.
And the two, I look at how if the big picture. Really fortunate we travel all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a
Yeah.
pretty cool. It's a pretty cool vibe. So much to the point. I don't know if we talked about this the other day. When I retire, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna. I'm done traveling.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I'm like I've seen everything,
Right.
or at least I'll know places to go.
Right.
So I really just embrace the traveling and then
Right.
meeting people. I mean, so many like you guys. I see you guys twice a year, whatever. You see,
Yeah.
it's cool. It gets to entertainers. You see people like we had dinner last night. You know what I mean? That's really neat, is to be able to hang out for one night
Yep.
and see each other and have a good time.
Yeah.
So I
And
just
maybe
enjoy
never
it now.
see them again. For
Yeah, but like
years. Or years.
That's what I like.
Here's
about it,
hoping.
is you make it count. When you're on with somebody you like, you do
Yeah.
hang out with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get pretty deep. You get to
Yep.
get
into
hear
it.
things like you get.
Share life stories.
It's not just surface level things because we
Right.
can all relate pretty well. We
Yeah.
talk to each other about real things that are going on. You
Mm-hmm.
hope you see that person again, but if you don't, you had a great week or
Right.
two with
You made
them.
it count, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're living we're all living the same life. So all the deep things are interesting to talk about and helpful
For sure.
because
Yeah.
we're all going. It's hard to go through deep things while you're traveling.
Yeah.
Especially if they're family based at
You're on your
home
own.
or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or buying a home while you're traveling, man. That's
Yeah, that wasn't easy.
a lot, man. I know.
Yeah.
I was talking. I think Neil Crosswell's a
Yeah.
magician,
Yeah.
but him and his wife
Friend
just
of
bought a
ours.
house, but they bought it in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had something.
What a bunch of losers.
Canadians, those knuckleheads. Anyway, they're magicians, and
In quotes.
But I love them. They're great. I hung out with them, had dinner with them a couple weeks ago. But they bought a house, and when they closed, something happened, and they were in the middle of a crossing.
Yeah.
And they were freaking. They were using Wi-Fi and trying to contacting the person that's in charge of stuff. Who's the person, the media? Who's the person that handles it? Not the realtor.
And like at the bank,
banker.
I don't understand, because you look online, you find these real estate agents, all of their reviews, but whenever it comes to buying and selling a house, I swear it's the first time they've ever done it.
Yeah.
Because there's always something that goes terribly wrong last minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done this a few times now.
Yes.
And it is never smooth.
Really?
It's never a smooth process. And especially like this last place we just got, we're in Alaska on a ship trying to do it, and they're back in Ontario, like a 3-hour time difference as well. So there's that to take into account, and just, so many little weird things that make a unique situation for entertainers like us.
Yeah, it's really hard. Yeah, that's what Neil had said, because they were doing it was an 8-hour time difference.
Oh,
or something. They were overseas.
Oh, right.
So he goes, we're up at 3 a.m. after shows, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my ex-wife used to work in the home loan industry.
Okay.
And this is back during our U.S. boom, right before our not the crash, but the recession. The big one, the housing crash
in like 2008, right? Was that?
Yeah, it was the big housing crash, and she saw it coming before it came, so she got out about a year or two before.
Okay.
But she was an assistant to a really top realtor, and they were making a ton of money.
Right.
But they were constantly juggling stuff and problems and things, and they make the process so difficult. It seems like there's a million paperwork and this and that, and you got to cover all the bases and stuff, and
for sure.
So it's got to be. I guess it's good, because I would screw it up.
Yeah.
I always forget a step, and I go, that's important. I go, there is a basement. You think I wouldn't know? Like you had to have a housing inspector, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's interesting, because the first time we ever bought a house in Canada, it was so competitive that we couldn't get a house inspection, because if we asked for a house inspection, then we would have lost out on the deal, because there were so many people bidding on it. So you had to have the best offer for the house with the least conditions on it. For Florida,
That's kind of scary.
It was.
It was a
great.
newer house, at least, so it wasn't as much of a worry. But and then this one in Florida, we were made to get a housing inspection, but the person who inspected the house didn't notice a bunch of things that were wrong with the house. So
that was fun.
It's a whole
surprise. You need a new roof.
You need a second opinion on your.
And Sarah's always said, like, it's funny, because a house is the biggest thing you'll ever buy.
Of course.
For most people.
Yeah.
Comes with absolutely no manual or instructions.
No instructions, and how to take care of a whole house.
Sure. Yeah.
Plumbing, and you're just totally left to your own devices.
Yeah, and then when shit happens, you go to YouTube, and you're like,
sure.
Okay, what do I do? Or Home Depot, and and somebody walks you through. Mm-hmm. That's what scares me about buying a house. Mm-hmm. That's what I like about the apartment.
Right.
Something that goes wrong, you just call somebody.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That is very handy.
No, nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
No,
for sure.
Great.
Yeah, but you got a big night tonight, because you're doing.
Yeah, I got the 9:00 show tonight.
Well, you're doing
I'm doing the first run through of all the material for the new album in one
so
show.
Exciting.
Yeah, I wanted to do it earlier. Most of it is clean, but there's a couple jokes that are kind of iffy.
Okay.
Excuse me, content-wise.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do them the other morning or the other afternoon for the early show. So we'll try it tonight. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm very excited about I was just talking to the club owner about next week and taping. Yeah, I'm really fired up about it. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yay.
By the time this podcast comes out, your album will already be out. You'll be famous.
Yeah, I will be famous.
We'll
Actually, I won't even release this.
Why would you?
This garbage.
Who are Brent and Sarah?
This is only going to weigh you down.
Delete.
What Michael J. Fox or Jamie Foxx?
Where are you guys off to next?
We are off to Toronto to do the corporate Christmas season.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be good. We're going home back to Toronto. Everybody's having their Christmas parties, so we're going to get in there.
Yeah. Do you do that every year?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we could get one message out there to the people.
To the people.
It's
it just died.
The camera just
Oh, that's perfect timing
hilarious.
almost. That's good. I can cut out of that. Hold on 1 second.
So do we cut and then
Huh?
Are we cutting this and then
I'll edit it later. Do you have one word of advice for someone, Brent?
I got one word of advice.
What is it? I think it's
For
going to be more than one word.
you corporate bookers out there, don't wait till the last minute every year to book your Christmas party.
Don't do that.
Every single year,
Frustrating.
we get 20
Breaks our
people
hearts.
looking for the same date.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
Get into it.
It's like a
$20 to spend.
yeah.
Driving me nuts.
Get out of here.
And it's always a big event. It's always a lot of people. I need 100 people. You know what drives me crazy is I'll get people ask me a lot. They go, "You want to do a corporate event?" And I don't like doing them. I'm not a fan of doing it from a stand-up point of view.
We're getting there.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
fun.
no, it's
I don't get because I have different packages and a contract I offer, and I can write stuff about you. That's great. I'll do that, but that's going to cost you X.
Yes.
But people always go, "Can you do like an hour and a half?" And I always go, "No, not at all. No." I go, "Nobody wants an hour-long corporate party." And they go, "No, I think they do." I go, "No, I know they don't."
Incorrect.
Yeah, 30, maybe 45-ish.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
30 is...
do 2 hours. We'll clear the whole dance floor for you.
Yeah.
And then we'll have everyone sit way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and off to the side.
Sure.
It'll be great. You'll feel really welcome.
And it'll be great for the handful of people that don't like comedy or magic. And then even better for the handful of people that don't like you specifically. You know what I mean? Because some people are like, "This isn't my thing." And you're like, "That's fine."
It's planning an event with people who have never planned an event before.
Right.
And that's, again, this is a huge, we were just talking about it, this is a huge reason we love ships, is you're
always have a
set
good
up
show.
to do a good
Yeah,
show.
that's the best thing is the crowds are here to see the show.
Yeah.
And the tech and the stage people, they know it. They know what they're doing.
They know what to do with entertainment.
Yeah, they get it down there and they get it out there and they're ready to go. And a lot of them you've worked before, so you walk back out and they know exactly what they're going to do.
That's nice.
It just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's perfect. I put I put little riders in that corporate contract where I'll make suggestions, things that things they would miss you wouldn't think, like a sound system. Like, how do you not have a real like a good microphone? Or
we bring our own.
It's nice to give people stuff they won't read, though.
Yeah,
it's great.
Or they agree to it. And you get there and you're like, "What? I don't understand what's happening."
Yeah, we've made ourselves a little too unhireable because we bring our own sound system, we bring our own lights.
Yeah.
But then if then people want to do a show in a restaurant or something like that, and it's just like, no, we need a stage, we need a proper. We have an actual.
Yeah, but that's kind of good though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is. Yeah.
Like I said, I don't like doing corporate gigs because 90% of the time they're not great.
Right.
I've had a handful that are awesome.
Yep.
But most of the time they're difficult, and then people will go, "Oh, why don't you just do this?" You know, I got this. I've done it before. I got to figure it out.
We find the sweet spot is like these Christmas parties where it's everyone actually works together in the same company. It's not like, hey, we'll bring everyone together once a year to do something.
Yeah.
It's like, no, these people all actually
different
work
counties,
together.
offices.
Yep.
And then the thing that we do with our show is we really just modify kind of what we're doing here in Ships to make it very much volunteer heavy.
Right.
So that way we're bringing members of them
that's brilliant.
up on stage with us because as funny as we think we are, we think we're pretty funny. We'll never be as funny as Jim from accounting on stage.
Of course not. No.
Situation or
and if they'll die if Jim from accounting goes out there.
Yeah.
Jim's going up. Jim's going up.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Right, yeah.
So if you've got a gym and your accounting department, call Brent and Sarah today.
That's very fun. That should be your ad.
Or a Gary. I'd take a Gary.
Yeah, Gary.
Doesn't have to be Jim. Yeah.
Jim from accounting.
Yeah.
That's great. I've never heard anyone from accounting being funny, but I guess Jim's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, the awkwardness makes them funny.
The awkwardness that Jim is.
That's right. That's what we want. Honestly, you don't want people who are too eager to be a volunteer. Like especially an adult who volunteers themselves.
Right.
We're immediately like, oh, no, not you.
Right.
Not you.
Yeah.
Because they want to come up and put on a show where it's like, no, that's our job. Like, let us use your shyness.
Well, it's the same concept on the ships. Like every magician I've ever talked to follows the same kind of rule. You don't take any adult that's overexcited to be up there. You know what I mean? You find maybe middle ground.
Yeah.
Somewhat reluctant.
Somewhat reluctant. Exactly right. There's like a certain look in people's eyes that you can see.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're smiling because they're like, oh, that'd be fun, but also like, I couldn't possibly.
Yeah.
And then you get them up there, and then they end up being the best.
They are the best. Yeah. Yeah, so it's funny how you picked it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
You only picked the wrong person a couple of times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It happens
And then every once in a while you regress and fall back and you're just like,
oh, I was not paying attention.
And whichever one of you picked is going to get an earful from the other one.
Yeah, it's fun.
But, that's like, even funnier. That's the best. Yeah. Usually it's just me that screws up. That's really funny. I used to do improv and bring people on stage to do improv, especially kids. I bring kids on stage to do improv. And every once in a while I'll go, oh, I screwed up.
Yeah.
I totally.
No, it's the worst.
I totally messed up.
And then it's all uphill and you're just kind of struggling to get ahead of it. And it's just.
Yeah, it's work to get back to.
There's just we did one. We were talking last week. Our first show that you weren't on board for yet. We just picked the wrong volunteer for the first trick. We didn't realize we did. Thought it was going to be okay, and it was just that entire show just felt like an uphill climb because that first show we got a volunteer on stage early, and they really
Set the tone.
Set the tone for everyone. And
Right, right.
And it just, everything felt off to us. And we just kept, okay, well, this next routine's going to get the audience.
Yeah.
Or this next one.
This
next,
will get them.
It was like the little engine that couldn't. Because it never did.
Oh, Brent.
It was still fun. It was a fun.
That was
fun
fine.
show.
That's just something that we
just, you know,
experience on stage, right? Like, I
just
don't
like
think
yourself.
comedy's the
You
same
know
thing.
how good this can be.
Yeah.
Right.
And when it's not that,
Yeah.
you're kicking yourself.
Yeah,
At some point, you're like, you think the next one will get it, but also with comedy, after 2 or 3 bits, I go, okay, this is the way they're going to be.
Yeah.
You're like, I understand.
This is just it.
You got to accept it. Like I always
You
tell,
have to accept, because otherwise you drive yourself crazy.
right? I always tell newer comics or performers, I go, expectations will kill you. Don't
Sure.
go up there and expect to kill.
Right.
Go up there, do your best, and whatever you do at the first, but then realize, try to get them.
Yeah.
But don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
Thinking that you're gonna, you're gonna get them or you're not gonna get them.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And God, you just said something I was gonna. Oh, I did. Never mind. It's not important. It's
Well,
blank.
your show this crew, like same as what we're talking about, just the over anxious, like over excited volunteer. You had that man in your audience.
Yeah.
You had a guy from Canada, believe it or not.
Oh.
Who was doing a little.
Were you at the first
He
family
was
show?
not acting like a normal, polite Canadian.
Oh, that was Steve from Canada.
Steve from Canada.
I do little 1 to 2 minute clips out of my acts. And I
Yeah.
put them on social media.
Yeah.
Steve's one up today. Steve,
Oh,
that chunk
nice.
of Steve,
Friggin'
the
Steve.
interaction with him.
Yeah,
I had a pretty good line of that, actually.
Yep. No,
When I
very
saw
good.
it, I'm like,
You
I got to
handled it
put
really
that up.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good line. So I'm
He
like,
was
all
just
right.
a little overzealous, and
Yeah,
you had to shut him down a bit in order
Yeah.
to or
Go
else it
on
would
with
have
the show?
kept going.
Yeah.
Because you can't reward people.
Nope. You
It's
got to.
It's like dogs.
It is exactly like that. And you got to have an upper hand, but not be mean about it.
Yeah,
That's right.
Like, this is what I was going to say when I was talking about the kids. Like, when I realize you bring up a wrong kid, you're really kind of screwed, because the way to work with kids is, especially with comedy and improv, is they get the laugh. They get the
Yes.
upper hand.
Yeah.
So they feel good and
Yep.
confident, and their parents are happy.
Yes.
So if the kid comes up and is a little jerk, I basically have to let him make fun of me on some level and take second fiddle,
Yeah.
and it's hard to flip it back around.
Sure.
Because you can't one up the kid
Nope.
without losing the room.
Yeah.
Because like, why would you do that to the 9-year-old or whatever?
Right.
And the parents get mad.
If you
He was a
kick
little
them, then
jerk.
we're back to that cancellation conversation. It's a whole.
I go, there was a day when you could kick a kid.
I know.
The good old days.
I've only heard of these days, but
And America was great.
no, we.
Yeah, that's the America I miss.
That's the one they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were the same. We used to perform exclusively for kids when we were starting out. Like,
Yeah.
we mainly did a lot of kids shows, and just you can never. I can never blame a kid for being who they are.
Sure.
Or you can blame adults though.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they're being jerks.
Because the kids are just parroting what they've seen,
Sure.
right? And then, but like an
Let's see,
adult, it's just like, no, you should
They
know
know
better by
better.
now.
Yeah.
You
And also,
should.
a kid's in front of a crowd of people, it's a whole different world for them.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's really, and even though the adults, it's a different world for them, we all have
Yeah.
different parameters in how we act and stuff.
Yep.
But a
And
kid will just do something they think is funny because they think it's funny, and then maybe might be wrong, or
Yeah.
they don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's when we pick volunteers in because still do some family shows from time to time, but when we pick volunteers, we're always looking for a kid with their hand up.
Right.
And
Yeah.
90% of kids have their hand up. When you pick adults, 90% of adults do not have their hands up.
Right.
And you don't want to pick the ones that do.
Right.
It's a totally
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
it's the
interesting.
opposite around.
it's really
Yeah.
weird.
I did.
Switches.
I was doing a show once when I did improv and I was talking to a brother and sister. They were in the second row,
Okay.
and I kept joking with them during the show. Kept making and the sister kind of made fun of the brother, and the brother was in kind of saying stuff. And then usually at the end of the show, I ask for volunteers for the improv. It's
Yeah.
important with kids too, because if you're right, the kids got to raise their hand.
Yeah.
But the brother actually said, "Come on up here, Steve," because everybody already known him.
Mm-hmm.
Is Steve, or whatever his name was. Come on up here, and he comes up on stage and stuff. And we're doing it's a game called Genius or Two-Headed Answer, where somebody asks us a question and we answer it one word at a time.
Yeah,
That's how it
okay.
works.
Yeah.
Okay. So I bring him up on stage, and he gets there. I put my hand on his back, and he is shaking
Oh,
like a
bless.
leaf.
Oh.
And I go, "Oh my God, I totally just put this kid on the spot."
Shoot.
And I felt terrible, but then we got out of it because I know how to direct it well to make him look
Sure.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did a couple, got him out, and he was afterwards he was really happy.
Okay,
But I felt
cool.
so bad when I put my hands back. I mean, it was like it was like a car that was on it.
Yeah.
Oh, like, oh shit, I messed this kid
Oh,
up.
man.
I felt really bad for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you maybe like awakened something in him by, he overcame that fear. Like you said, like he.
Yeah, nervous breakdown.
my gosh.
I like to push children to the brink, and
Yeah,
then
that'd be great.
We've had adults on stage who like just as well like
Sweating.
Sure,
Just start
and just
sweating.
like you can tell you can just kind of like I don't think the audience would be able to tell so much, but you can just tell that like
they're nervous.
They're nervous up here.
Yeah.
And it's just that's such a foreign concept to us because
Just not.
I know that you
nervous.
forget.
at all.
Yeah.
You forget because you're on stage all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, what's the big deal? Oh,
Yeah.
you're never,
This is
never.
some people's biggest fear. Most people's biggest fear.
Right. Yeah, in a show too. It's not like you're you're reading a paper.
And like magic.
Lunch is at 3 tomorrow. You know,
Yeah.
it's just,
yeah.
it's got to be really hard for you guys because they can screw you guys up. You guys got a lot of stuff set up.
Yeah,
You know?
but you know what? So what's interesting about that is like when we design the show, we try to make it as foolproof as possible, like as like how you say that, bulletproof, I guess, like how that people can't mess with us too much, like, and that doesn't keep people from trying, and also we have like ways to get out of things. It's nice when there's two of us, like we can both have eyes on different volunteers or on a volunteer to make sure like, you know, we're both seeing what's happening in case somebody misses something, like how I missed that guy who apparently
Yeah,
tried to,
because you
like,
would run
stab
backstage
me.
at that point for something. You know what I mean? Those are the points when you went backstage for something.
Yeah.
Sarah's usually on stage solo.
Yeah, that's
for that.
just me.
Yeah.
But then you know what we also plan out who we pick for certain parts of our show. Like if we have a lot of direction to give to have somebody like follow instructions, we'll pick a woman because they just follow instructions better and they don't try to mess with us like men do.
They're more behaved.
Yeah, like men just sometimes try to just be in control. Like they have a really hard time giving up control over a situation, and so we just find that when we need someone to like really follow instructions and pay attention, then we pick a woman for that one.
Because it's a total alpha thing.
Yeah.
The guy wants to show he's.
But then at the same time, if we know that we're gonna maybe make fun of this volunteer a little bit or put them in a really funny or awkward situation, then we want a man.
Bring a man for sure.
Because that's funnier when
That's
a man's
smart.
in that
It's more
position. Right?
acceptable for everyone to laugh at a man.
Wow.
Than
You
to
guys
laugh
have
at a
done this
woman.
before.
Yeah. We've thought about
You
it.
know what it all is? Trial and error.
Sure,
No,
that's
I know,
true.
yeah.
So much
You do
fun.
something wrong,
that-
and then you're like, well, we're not doing that
Feel
again.
that energy like instantly. You're like, oh, we should not do this again like that. Or this was definitely funnier last week when Mary did this as opposed to Roger,
And
you
there's
know?
so much multitasking. Sometimes I'll get caught up like rewriting the show while we're doing the show.
Brent, it's
and
the
Sarah's
worst.
just like, get out of your head.
Yeah, I can see him
Yeah.
thinking. I look over and he's saying whatever he's saying, and I'm like, oh, he is in
Sarah's
his head.
so in the moment.
Yeah.
Sarah, we're very different. Like Sarah's so in the moment, but if something doesn't go according to plan, Sarah's like,
Wait,
what? And she'll like freeze up sometimes.
Like I need to work on my improv skills
Yeah.
sometimes.
Whereas-
But,
Really? God, you seem so quick up there.
Well-
Oh, she's so good at faking it, isn't she?
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Wow, this is covered some
Next
bases on this
podcast,
podcast,
next
didn't
pod-
we? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No, Sarah's really in the moment and really natural on stage. It's wonderful. And I'm always thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to work to get out of his head a little bit.
Yeah, I always
on
breaking
stage.
things down in your head.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's all right. I do this. I try to stay in the moment, but end up in my head a lot. People will be amazed how much trial and error there is involved in live performing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of your best stuff you find from a lot of my best jokes I found from screwing up a joke.
Absolutely.
And you go, oh, this is way funnier than
Yeah.
the other
Yeah.
thing. Why didn't I? You know what I mean?
We've even had it where we forgot a certain prop for a routine or something like that, and had to make something up like right before the show began, and then we're like, oh wait, this actually might be better, and like we wouldn't have not known that.
Oh,
It was
cool.
very makeshifft and
Yeah.
just
And it was-
really, really stupid, but like
It
you've seen
worked.
our show. We love
Right.
stupid.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it worked really well. But
Yeah.
it is, it's, I don't know. That's one of the things I love most about live performing is you'll just never do a perfect show.
Right.
You know, you'll have perfect moments,
Yeah.
but you'll never do a
Have
perfect
great
show. You'll
shows.
always kind of be chasing it. And I think that's great because that gives you the reason to keep doing it. If
Yeah.
it's always perfect, that would be so boring.
Well, it keeps you alive every performance.
Yeah, because even though we're doing the same show technically over and over, like it's always different, and there's always something that doesn't happen the way it happened before.
Especially with
and-
volunteers. on
especially
stage.
with volunteers. Yeah. But even just like whatever mood you're in, right before the show, like you have to. That will dictate often how a show will go and stuff like that. Like it's just it's
Even
so
week to
many
week.
different factors.
You can do the same showtime on the same cruise for the same number of people.
Yeah.
Could be completely different.
Yeah, it happens. I've had like people come back to a repeat, and I've been like, this is a repeat.
Mhm.
And they go, well, no, you work the crowd a lot, so it might be different. And then it ends up being sometimes, it ends up being a lot different. You just never know.
Right.
Because you know what? For me, it's I'm in the moment as much as possible.
Sure,
Absolutely.
that's nice.
That's the key, is to stay in the moment.
Yeah.
So when something happens in the room, I react to it.
Yes.
Rob had a great moment in his late show
he was
last
telling
night.
us about
The cop thing.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. There was another 10 minutes of stuff out of nowhere.
That's
Awesome.
Yeah, that just, it was
It's
a gift.
just a gift, yeah.
And Rob's going to say, there's a moment when you're on stage where someone goes, oh.
Yeah, there you are.
And you go,
That's
oh,
for you.
fantastic. Thank you.
And Rob, that hack's going to get credit for
I can't
it.
believe it, right?
That-
And the worst part, I'm standing outside there, he's a genius. I go, yes.
Shut up.
Genius.
Yeah.
I get it. Good for him. But yeah, but it's all about. It's funny to watch that. I love watching that because I know people that cannot do that. I know guys that cannot change.
They have to
Right.
stick to
I mean,
their...
they got to stay to the script, the jokes, the setups, the lines, and they can't. They get uncomfortable
Yeah.
when they have to come out.
Yeah.
You know. And I don't know how any of those guys. Well, I don't know if any of them really work ships. It's hard to survive out here on a ship because for us, especially, well, you're here for 7 to 10 days. People see you once, and then for Rob and I, they see us a bunch of times.
Yeah.
By the end of the week, they think they know who we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now they're yelling from the crowd, and you know what I mean. You gotta be a little prepared.
Especially in the club, you know.
In our club
it is
scenario, yeah.
different in the theater for sure, and that's the challenge with us. Is just that like because there's 2 of us on stage, we do have to script everything,
Right.
or at least have a rough
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
And then there are moments in the show where it's just Sarah on stage or it's just me on stage with some volunteers, and that's where we can play a little bit more. And we like the balance of both of those things back and forth, but we do kind of have to know what we're doing, or else we're just talking over each other all the time.
Right, and
Yeah.
it would look awkward, you know,
Yeah.
because it doesn't look awkward at all, and it's
Oh,
almost
good.
timed perfectly. It's like bam,
Right.
bam, bam, bam. Do you ever throw out a line at each other that you just thought of, and like when you're taking shots at each other? Do you just think of a line and throw it at the other person?
We have
you?
not too
Okay.
often
Okay.
because we feel like the lines we've come up with are pretty good.
Those are pretty. No, they're pretty strong.
But yeah, no, that happens every once in a while.
More
Yeah.
so with volunteers on stage. It would be
Yeah.
something we'd say to them. In our first show, there's one where I get 3 guys on stage, and it's just me for usually about 10 minutes. Whereas in the second show where you saw it, Sarah gets her time with the 2
Right.
guys and stuff. But and in both of those scenarios, there's a lot of opportunity to play.
Right.
Yeah.
Times, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes we'll just forget something or screw
Absolutely.
up, or we'll take a stab at something and.
Yeah, because when those new lines do get thrown out or something, like, that throws me off sometimes. Like Brent was saying earlier, like because it's like, oh, that's funny. Oh, we should write that. And then it's like, oh no, focus. And then you're like, oh wait, what? Oh my gosh. Ah!
Where were we? Wait, hold on.
Oh no. What's next? I forget. We've done this 100 times. But then you get like, and this stuff happens so instantaneously. Like I can't explain sometimes how many thoughts go through your head in like 1 second and how many feelings you go through in like 3 seconds. Because say new line, Brent says something funny, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. We got to remember that. I'm going to write that. Don't forget. And then I'm like, oh shit, no, focus, Sarah. You got to do it on the show. Oh crap. What was I just saying? Is it my turn or is it Brent's turn? Okay. Oh no, get out of your head. Get back at, stop thinking. Just say what you always say. Muscle memory. Get back. And that all happens like in a second.
Yeah.
It's all
overwhelming.
while performing magic, which can
Yes, also
and
that.
the magic is pretty autopilot for us at this point,
Which
right?
is what you want.
Because
Right.
otherwise we've seen this in the past with other magicians. Not to slag up other magicians, but let's do it.
Sure.
No, we've seen this.
Everybody goes through
I'll
that.
hashtag all the men.
It's a beginner's magician thing. Some magicians out there basically just. Sorry, the hashtag is funny. They
Stay focused, Brent. Get back to it.
They,
Get out of your head.
where they're performing something that is probably too difficult to be performing on stage for an audience.
Right.
And they're in their head so much, and they have what is known as magician's brain. You
Okay.
can see them thinking about what they're doing,
Right.
and you don't really believe the words that they're saying.
Right.
We really like it to be the opposite.
Because it doesn't look natural. It doesn't look
Yeah.
like yeah.
Or make it look like we don't know what we're doing.
Exactly, right.
But we're talking very clearly.
Right.
But every once in a while, the magic can go wrong. Something goes wrong a little bit, and then you hyper focus on the magic.
Yeah.
And then you're like a ventriloquist dummy, just
You're just
talking.
saying your thing that
Right.
you always
Because
say.
you're thinking, how do I get out of this? And
Right.
it's
Yeah.
really funny. And I'm
Strictly.
sure you must experience something similar to that when you're you know,
if you've messed up a line
if you mess
or
up
like
when there's an audience is butting in and you're like, how do I get back to this guy?
You know where I noticed a lot, especially on ships, because we have to do different shows. We do a lot of different shows.
Yeah.
Something will happen with a crowd, and I'll go down a road, and I'll make a line, and I'll say something, but then I'll realize I'm going in a direction. Oh, I can't do this line because I need it for the third show.
Right.
If I do this line, I'm going to burn that whole bit.
Yep.
So that means I can't. So how can I get back in on? And then I got to get back into, like, I know my closure. I got to get back over to the thing about my daughter. So how do I get out of this and go? So and you're right. It happens so quick.
Going through this whole journey in your brain that like you can feel and you're a part of, and yet it's totally like the audience is totally oblivious to that.
Right.
But yeah, it's all.
Yeah, but you're right, because they don't notice it too.
No.
You make it look natural. You're so much processing. You're so used to processing in your brain in front of people that it looks second nature, and it is. That's what you do now.
I've like we've been performing shows before, and I'm literally speaking out of my mouth and thinking about what I want to make for dinner. Like I'm having a conversation in my head.
I just went on for a while about how you're always in the moment.
Yeah, no, but this is.
I'm amazed that you were speaking out of your mouth.
You should see the third show.
Late show.
Different.
Things are different.
Ace Ventura 3.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, it's a hard one too. We're talking about like personal problems. Like if something happens, you have an issue.
Oh boy.
Like you're hard to clear your head, and you got to get on stage, and I mean you got to work. You know,
and yet sometimes that's the best medicine for like when you're going through something, right? Like
it saved my being. That's why being in the moment is the best.
You're right.
I learned that through just in life, therapy. I studied all that.
Yes.
If you get on stage, that's why a lot of performers all say the best part of the day is performing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, it's the traveling, all the other crap we go through that kind of sucks in a way.
That's what we get paid for. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. But if you're on stage, you can almost go let your crap. Once you step on stage, you're gonna let the crap stay in the wings, and you're like, hey, and really get into a show. Sometimes it's your best shows too.
And what a pick me up afterwards. Yeah. Like as long as the show goes quite well, you know, it's like you can really ride off that for a few days sometimes. I find, and just and the opposite of that is when you do a show where you don't feel like you've done very well. Mm-hmm. It's like I got to get to the next show, so you can just. You're only as good as your last show.
That's right.
We always say that.
Yeah.
So it's if you have, I hate to leave a show on a bad show. We're like,
it's the worst.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, but I also I tape all my shows because a lot of times, like when I showed that show I did, you guys are like, great show. Yeah. And I go, no, it's horrible. I didn't like it. And I watched it the other day. I go, oh, okay, it was a pretty good show. Yeah. I mean, I'm in my head so much on stage that I'm not. Like I said, I got to be in a certain mindset when I hit the stage.
Yeah.
You know, and if I'm not there, the whole show is going to suffer a little bit in my mind.
In your mind, yeah.
And then sometimes it's really interesting. Like this cruise, we have found both second audiences, like the later shows, have just given us way less energy. When we're in the audience, like there's way less energy, way less laughs. It just didn't feel as warm.
Right.
And yet, like, so this last one, just so many people came up to us afterward and just gushed.
Said such nice things. You're like,
all
right, so everybody did like that. You just weren't vocal about it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's always a weird feeling.
Thank you.
So it's weird, sometimes. And, and there's different factors. If it's not a completely full house, then the laughs don't carry as much as they should.
People don't laugh as much when they're just sitting in a row by themselves.
They're self-conscious of their own laugh, of hearing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, right. Yeah, if you're around people laughing, then you're kind of part of a group.
Yeah.
Plus, on the ship, there's other things to consider. There's things what they did during the day. Is there for tomorrow? You know, there's a lot of different things going on. How many sea days? You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that go into play for that.
Absolutely.
All those factors, for sure.
Great. Dude, let's wrap this. Oh, we did good. Let's wrap it. I thank you guys for doing this again.
Hey, pleasure.
And I got the sound right this time.
Yay.
Last time the sound was horrible. I hope they don't watch this. The sound was really good.
That's fine.
And it was great to work with you again. You plug whatever right into the camera. You want to plug your socials, whatever you want to do. Give them some more advice, Brent.
Try and find us on social media if you can.
Try it.
We're so bad at it these days.
Listen, we just, I don't know. So many people are so good at it. We just have found that we don't need to be so into it.
I don't
so
care
we're just
anymore.
Choosing not to.
Get off the internet. Live your life.
Listen, if
Go
you want
outside.
we're always working, so we can't post. That's it.
Yeah.
We just can't because we're just always working. So we're just too busy, friends. Sorry.
It's Brent and Sarah.
.com.
Bet you can't find us.
Yeah. Good luck. See the funny
That's
pages.
the best plug I've ever seen. Great. All right, thank you guys so much.
That's
Thanks.
the worst. Pleasure.
You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you. Hey, also follow one of those social media thingies.